After a 10-28 record as Yellow Jackets head coach, the Jeff Collins era has come to a close. Hey everybody, this is Sarah Spencer with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and this is Know Your Yellow Jackets. After a tumultuous few years for the football program, Athletic Director Todd Stansbury is out as well. On Tuesday, we spoke to both of those guys' replacements. That's interim head coach now, Brent Key, former offensive line coach, and interim athletic director, Frank Neville, on how they can get the program pointed in the right direction.
We need to give people reasons to believe, right? And that's what this is about. And we are confident that the support, that has always been there, but I think that has been dented a little bit of late. I think you can, however, the fluidity of this environment comes with risk. It also comes with opportunity. I think we've seen programs turn themselves around very quickly. Again, because of the transfer portal in particular. I think Tennessee is kind of an example of a program that really flipped things around. I'm not making any specific predictions on this, but I think the expectation that things can change if you bring in the right people and you create the right support around the program.
I imagine Yellow Jackets will be pretty happy to hear Brent Key's first point of emphasis. They've got to stop waiting for things to happen and make them happen.
People are waiting for things to happen, and they're waiting for bad things to happen, all right? Waiting for good things to happen. Well, finally something good happens. We need to go out and make things happen. And we have to give the players, we have to empower the players during the week and during practice that you're free to go make things happen. We can't sit back and wait on things. We can't try not to lose.
All right, everybody, let's bring in our Georgia Tech beat writer, Ken Sugiura. Ken, give me your knee-jerk reaction to Georgia Tech coach Jeff Collins getting fired and athletic director Todd Stansbury as well.
Sure. Well, I think with Jeff Collins, I think it was, as we talked previously, it just seemed like he was in a lot of trouble really from the start of the season.
It was like a pressure cooker, kind of. Like if the season didn't go great to start, you had a feeling something
right. I mean, people were
happen.
Saying like if they don't get off to a better start than 1-4, the heat will be on. And so not only did it happen, but they were losing games, really decisively. And then there were the other things of just the stuff with the blocked punts and penalties and just other mistakes that they were making that made you get a sense certainly that you could potentially have progress while losing, but that really wasn't the case. And so when it happened, this weekend after the loss to UCF, I don't think anybody was surprised, even probably in the coaching staff. As far as Todd Stansbury goes, I think it was kind of the same thing. He had tied his fate with Jeff Collins, and
you wrote a story coming into this season about how he had said kind of Jeff Collins was his guy.
Right, exactly, yeah. So when obviously you look at his record over the last 6 years, he had a lot of good things at Georgia Tech, but when this decision is so important, and when he had aligned himself so completely and it didn't work out, I think the people that have access to to President Cabrera and other people like that, they were saying, hey, he can't make the next hire. He was, I don't know exactly quit out him. He certainly, probably that was a factor, but certainly Cabrera himself had to see that, maybe you need to give someone else a chance.
What do you think the general reaction has been? I mean, people have even been in like my inbox a little bit, and I know you get it. You get it much more. I mean, you don't want to take joy in someone being fired. Right. Of course, it's a tough situation. These guys make a lot of money, right. But it's a tough situation to be in. Right. But it seemed like it was kind of time.
I think so. Certainly, as you said, it's not a fun situation. And I talked with and was communicating with people within the team, and obviously you could tell that they were distraught and frustrated and sad and all that stuff. But yeah, it was probably the best thing to make a change and go forward. And certainly, I think fans were ready for something different.
Do you think this season can be salvaged? Shockingly, we don't have too much time to talk about the Pitt game right now. We're kind of focused on other things. But do you think this season can be salvaged? Or I guess there might be more going wrong than just Jeff Collins. You know what I mean?
It certainly has a possibility. I think it's the thing, we've kept saying, if they can take care of these mistakes and play closer to the potential, they're going to give themselves a shot. I think so. That's one part of it. And Brent Key was talking about something. He mentioned how you've got to play to win and not to lose. And I think that wasn't just something he was throwing out there. I'm sure that was an observation of his of what he had seen from the players and the way that they were practicing and playing, and then maybe having this "oh no, not again" sort of feeling. But then probably just as important is that the schedule really lightens up. The Coastal Division isn't that strong, maybe aside from Pitt, who they play Saturday. But there's certainly some chances if they can play close to the potential to compete and be in games. So I'm not making predictions about they're going to run the table, obviously, but
That'd be a little much.
Yeah. So it's much of the last game of the year, but yeah, there's certainly a chance for them to give themselves a much better chance than they have.
What do you make of offensive lineman coach Brent Key? It's fall because my hair is going everywhere and it's windy out here. Yeah, you're blown in the wind. What do you make of offensive lineman coach Brent Key getting this interim role? He mentioned this is a great job. Do you think there's a possibility for him to potentially be the next coach, or probably too soon to say? I know they're going to find an AD first and then go from there.
Yeah, so to go back to kind of what was said at the press conference, Frank Neville, the interim AD, made it very clear that they're going to hire an AD first and then hire a coach, which puts some pressure on them to do that reasonably quickly, which I'm sure they're well aware of. But yeah, so Brent Key, Georgia Tech alum, was an All-ACC lineman here. Someone that like many are all Tech grads, lives and dies with Tech. And I think so this is a job that he's wanted, particularly this job. I'm sure. And he's been around some really good coaches, most notably Nick Saban, and so I'm sure he's been around and has a sense of, if I get a chance to be head coach, here's how I want to do it. He's kind of your central casting kind of football coach, very tough and hard nosed, and he's got a sense of humor, and he's gets that part of it. But yeah, I think he can be somebody who can make a difference in these guys. He's clear in his communications and going to set a vision for these guys. So. Yeah, I think it's my guess is my thought was he'd be the guy all along, but certainly it seems like gives a chance to be a good fit, and if it works out well, certainly I think he'll be considered to get the full-time job.
How pivotal are these hires? Not just coach, but AD here. I mean, you don't want to, with the way the program has been the last couple of years, you really want to see it go the other direction.
Right. Starting with the athletic director hire. He's the person, or she is a person who is setting the vision and raising money, and this place is in dire need of the latter, certainly, and so that's someone that they have in here who can kind of, and there's also probably some repairing to do of helping frustrated fans and donors and getting everyone on board again.
Some disgruntled folks around.
And then as far as obviously the football coach, that kind of speaks for itself. This is as low a point as it's been maybe ever, going back to the start of the 20th century. And so, they've got to get things going again. There's certainly some talent on this team, but they've, fans here they're not demanding, national championships or anything like that, but they wanted to see this team, go to bowl games and compete, with Georgia and hold their own in the ACC. And so I think it's been proven that they can do it. Paul Johnson certainly did it. So they've got a long way to go, and so to get somebody that can do that, it's going to take the right person, and we'll see if they do it.
All right, we'll see who they find. Ken, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go to ajc.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel to find more videos just like this.